we'll call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Gens,
Here.
Supervisor Nudo,
Here.
Supervisor Brookhouse.
Here.
Supervisor Gama,
Here.
Supervisor Gashke,
Here.
Supervisor Geertsen,
Here.
Supervisor Kirby. Here. Yig member Ethan. Yig member Megan. Yig member Savannah. Here. Yig member Timothy.
Here. Those two are excused. This time we'll open the meeting up to citizens' comments. Any citizens wishing to speak? Any citizens wishing to speak? Any citizens wishing to speak? Seeing none, citizens' comments is closed. Reports from the chair? I don't have any. Reports from the committee? Does the committee have any? Supervisor Geertsen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was at Wisconsin Counties Association and it was their annual meeting and it was a very good conference. Being on PDEC, one thing they talked about was the contracting for these battery and solar outfits and that kind of thing, so we can make sure we get paid for that. But what's important is that just like last year, we are going to be heading into budget. And in budget, the administration provides substantial documents that we have to sign. So I want to make sure this whole committee and everyone on YIG has enough ink. So everyone has, courtesy of our financial advisor, a pen. So that when you circulate the resolution, if it's approved, then we're able to sign it. And with that, I yield. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Geertsen. You did vet that with Corp Counsel, right?
I vetted it.
Okay. I'm not gonna get in trouble because I'm taking your pen, right?
I did vet it.
All right.
It's on record.
Considered it.
Now, the owl knows everything, just so you know. Approval of minutes, September 11th, 2025.
Move to September minutes.
Second.
It's been moved by Vice Chair Gashke, seconded by Supervisor Geertsen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Those minutes are passed. Number 6, Public Works Facilities, resolution to enter into a lease with the state of Wisconsin for the property at 11312 Burlington Road.
Good evening, Supervisors. You recall I was in front of you a couple months ago with the purchase of this property for purposes that were discussed at length, as well as at the board meeting. This now is the second step, if you will. This is the lease that we would be entering into with the state of Wisconsin so that we can use it for that purpose. It is a pretty standard residential lease. I started with leases that the state had signed with, the state had signed with other counties in the past. So, anticipated that would be something that they wouldn't have any problem signing again. We made a few additional tweaks at the behest of facilities. I point out that we are going to be receiving $3,500 a month. I believe that when I was speaking with you before, I was anticipating between 2 and 3. So we actually got a little bit more than I was hoping for when we were discussing it. And happy to answer questions that anybody might have.
Supervisor Geertsen.
Mr. Chairman, I would move approval of the.
Been moved by Supervisor Geertsen. Seconded by Supervisor Kirby. Questions, Supervisor Brookhouse?
I'm just curious, by the way, first off, I have to tell you, I like the tie.
Oh, thank you.
Now, are we responsible to pay property taxes on that property since the county owns that property?
No, because it's owned by the county, there would be no property taxes on it. If there were any, they would be the responsibility of the state, I believe, because they are supposed to be responsible for all the affiliated costs, but because we own it, there won't be any taxes.
I yield back.
Supervisor Nudo.
Yeah, I have a few questions. One is the lease is for 1 year, correct?
Initially,
No extension, no nothing in there.
well, it doesn't automatically renew, but it could be renewed beyond
Well,
that year.
yeah,
if necessary.
I mean, but there is no extension right now.
Correct.
Okay, how long are those, the 3 people gonna be living in there?
That's a question I can't answer. It's going to be determined by the progress they make in their treatment. The best I've been able to get from the state is that on average, most people are in this program for between 3 and 5 years, but it's really going to be an individual determination.
They could be moved, if one is taken out, and there's gonna be only two people living there, or if two of them
There
are
is that
taken out,
possibility, yes.
it's only gonna be one, because I believe the last time we talked under the lease, Public Works, they say that it was just for these three people and nobody else. Like that.
There are three people that currently require placement.
Right, but they cannot put more than three people.
Correct, yeah.
Or less, it's just for these three people, that was my understanding.
There
So
are three
one
three
of
beds,
them
there couldn't be more than three people.
So
in it.
one is that.
Okay.
The other thing is that I know the county is responsible for all the. We're providing appliances, everything,
Correct.
which we're gonna be responsible for that. So if they go out, the stove will go out or refrigerator, we're gonna have to go out to replace them.
Yes, I suppose the short answer is yes.
Also, when, the time of the offer, we talked about, the property inspection. In fact, I was asking those questions about the property inspection. And that's because we did not get a property inspection, and they say they did it, all the inspection, that people from the county, whoever did it, we didn't get it that, and everything was working fine. But I guess now it's my understanding, we already had to replace the water heater.
I don't, and I would defer to Matt Storino if I need to. My recollection is, I don't know if it was a question of replacement. I think it was a water. Oh, I don't want to, say wrong, so.
The water heater was replaced. There was a leak on the rod on it. And we think it better to replace it. We did replace it in-house. So we were able to save some costs there. We'd have to hire a plumber for
But
that.
that's not my point. My point is, if we had done the property inspection, they would have told us, they would have, that the water heater needed replaced. And what I'm getting on top of that is, what about everything else? Are we gonna need to replace the roof in maybe 6 months? Just like, why didn't we do it? So everything is done at the last minute. I was against purchasing the house. I'm not gonna go through again the reasons or why. And, pretty much, I think it was a huge mistake. And I'm not gonna add on the mistake by approving the lease, because I believe we're gonna have a problem. Like from a year from now, the state can just say, well, no, we're gonna pay a out, they're not gonna renew the lease, and what are we gonna do? We're gonna be responsible for the owner. So for their reason, I'm gonna be voting no, because I guess it's no solution. Thank you.
Vice Chair Gashke.
Through the chair to Corp Counsel, this lease is based on, the 3,500 is based on the property, not the number of residents there, right? So whether we have 1, 2, or 3 people, it's 3,500.
Correct.
Okay. And then just a quick follow-up question along the lines of Supervisor Nudo. Are there any other upgrades or repairs that we're aware of, or at this point, is it move-in ready, basically?
The home is move-in ready. The state did hire a home inspector to come through after we did our inspection. They noted a few minor repairs. We took care of the repairs in the house as well. That was ready to go.
Thank you.
Yep.
Supervisor Gearston.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to Matt, did you find the property overall to be in pretty good condition when you looked at it?
I did, yeah. It's the common Midwestern 1967 ranch home.
Yeah. Did you find it to be, I heard this somewhere, but I would confirm it now. Did you find it to be better than you thought it would be?
There was tenants living in the home, when we looked at it, so I found it to be in good shape.
Okay, thank you. That's again through the chair to Court Counsel. What would be the circumstance of us owning a building that we bought for this purpose, for the purpose of public safety, and then not being able to execute this lease? What would be the circumstance of that? What would occur?
Well, if we don't execute the lease and we can't put the individuals there, we'd be back at square one in terms of the court orders for placement and court orders for requiring us to buy or build something so that we could comply with placement orders.
Okay, thank you. And then another question. I'm recalling something that was said on the board floor. that if we are back to square one and not moving ahead with this, one possibility is that the state could release these individuals into Kenosha without this rehabilitation with this. I remember that being said on the board floor by yourself. Is that a possibility that you recall saying that on the board floor?
I don't specifically recall it, but it's certainly consistent with my understanding. Two of the three individuals had discharge trials pending, scheduled between now and the end of the year. Those have been put on hold, pending the anticipated placement in this property.
So it would be a possibility that they could be released into the community without this rehabilitation.
That is a possibility.
That's a possibility. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield.
Okay, now my turn. The one thing that I asked, I don't know if I asked it at this committee or the board floor, what about liability for anything that ththese individuals might do or might get into, or, I mean, what is our liability?
It is my understanding that the state is responsible for these individuals. I don't think that we have any significant liability. We are simply the landlord.
Okay. Why wouldn't we create a lease to cover the length of these three people being there? Rather than a 1 year, because I mean, I'm not playing naysayer on this. I certainly am gonna approve it, but you know, I understand, I was in real estate. I understand leases. When they expire, terms are open to negotiation. So what happens after a year if these people are there 5 years, or why wouldn't we have set it up for the length of their stay so that the last one that's in there would, you know, at the end of that year or at the end of that month, then we can renegotiate a lease, whether we've had others or, you know, I mean, that just makes sense to me.
And I certainly understand that. I think the two answers I have to that are, number one, I believe the state's preference or the state's intention is to do this for a year, because it then obviously gives them the flexibility, not in terms of renegotiating, but depending on if there are changes in circumstance, if there's et cetera. The other thing is that I had a second point, went completely out of my head.
That can happen
while you were talking, yeah.
I didn't even interrupt you.
No, I know. I know customarily, residential leases don't go more than a year. I mean, that's pretty typical at least in my experience.
Yeah,
I
this
think-
isn't this is a different circumstance than a common residential lease.
Agreed, yeah.
Well, if I'm still there in a year and this goes sideways or pear-shaped, then we'll have to have another discussion. But, you know, I mean, there's trust there that we're trusting the state to come back in a year and continue with what we're doing. And if you feel comfortable with that, you know, okay, but I just, you know, to me, it would have made more sense to just cover ourselves for the length of their stay so that I know that while there's the purpose that we bought the building for is being used and paid for.
And thank you. And while you were talking, I was able to remember, it would be difficult for us to, I understand what you're getting at, but I think it would be difficult to try and create a lease on those terms, because again, it's a bit of a moving target as to when they're going to complete their individual treatment. So that's, we've got three different individuals. So I mean, I say 3 to 5 years, it could be shorter, it could be longer. So again, I understand the point you're making. I think it would have been a little bit difficult to try and structure something along those lines.
I could structure it right now. And whether or not they'd agree to it. I mean, I could think of the verbiage right now, but you know, at least a year out or until it's vacant of the three people that are in it. But okay, you know, I mean, you got us covered. I
believe so, yes.
just wanted to make that point clear. I mean, we're gonna have to keep doing this 5 times if they're in there 5 years. And I'm okay with that if our dance partner doesn't change the tune. So,
Understood.
okay, all right. Any other questions or comments on this issue? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed?
No.
Okay, that passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Combined in 10.
Yes.
I think that's right. If it was legally obtained, but I guess. Okay, number 7, Supervisor Uhas and Supervisor Nordigan, resolution to rescind the prior obligations of the Kenosha County Fair Association. Thank you for showing up. I was gonna have to defer. No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, everybody, for allowing us to present the resolution. This resolution has been in the works for quite a long time, not as long as 57, but my predecessor, as well as just the predecessor started this, and just things got back and forth. Finally, got it together. The Kenosha County Fair, which, if you read the documents, there was an $8,000, which was a lot of money in 1957. I'll say gift, I guess at this point, but it was tied to the banks being primary, as well as, you know, if they failed, what would happen to the property and all this other stuff. So our predecessors had put this agreement together that we would take over the fair, I guess is that how we understood it to be. That's what I understood it to be. And they'd have to pay back all this money, and really, it makes no sense. It really does. First of all, the Kenosha County Fair people, not Kenosha County, the fair people do a marvelous job, terrific job running the fair. You want to know who doesn't do a terrific job running the fair? Kenosha County. We don't do it. It's not what we do. So what we want to do is release them.
For the record, maybe we could.
Well-
You're not saying we could.
I'm saying we shouldn't.
We're the envy of other counties that do on their own.
And actually, we are.
No, I'm not
Our county
joking.
fair is very well thought of around the state, as well as a few other counties south of the border. But the idea is to get, to free them up. If they need to borrow money to make improvements in the fair, we should not be primary, which we are currently. Is that, I understand the banks are all telling you that. So we want to release us from that position. There's no reason for us to be in that position. Secondly, there's no reason for us to have more land out in the west that we would have to take care of if they went and could not function anymore. I would think that's up to them to determine what that would happen. We should have no say in that, in my opinion. And I think, Joel, if you want to chime in on any of that, if you.
I think that's correct. I think we looked at it and found that really the only way that they would probably be able to meet the financial obligations that exist currently, short of liquidating, would be to turn over all their real and other physical property to the county. I'm obviously not a decision maker, I'm not a policy maker. As your lawyer, I don't think we want to own the racetrack and take that on. So no, I think this makes a lot of sense to certainly they have more than demonstrated that they are not a risk, and there's really no reason for us to try and collect those monies.
I think almost 70 years of successful fairs there. Well, I mean, from the time 57.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so 105 years in total. So I think they do a great job, and I don't think we should keep their hands tied if they need to go out and do something more, make improvements that would benefit all of us when we go visit the fair. I know there's, the Fairs of the Fair is a terrific organization that, we want to keep up all of the animals and all of the different children activities, as well as all the big beautiful building now we've got over there, the barrel room. All these things have been brought about over these years of a successful fair. So let's step out of their way. Let's let them do what they do best, and let us do what we do best. And that's what this resolution is all about. I ask your support.
Thank you. Supervisor Gears.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm reading this fiscal note here. It says, approving this resolution would absolve us of potential liability. It's in the best interest of the county to extricate us from this original 1958 agreement, and it's prudent to rescind those requirements and eliminate any such obligations. So with that said, and with the report from Supervisor Nordigan and also our chairman, Monica, and Corp Council, and the county executive, Samantha Kirkman, I want to say thank you so much to all of you for working on this and getting this, modernizing this thing. And so with that, I move approval of this resolution.
Second.
It's been moved by Supervisor Gaschke, seconded by Supervisor Kirby. Any other comments?
Just a question, is that in Randall Township?
No,
Okay, no?
actually, it is not. That's
Well-
the village of Salem Lakes, but it is in the
If it was in
21st
Randall, I
district.
would have a little problem.
Okay, all right. So,
Yeah.
my only question is to the Corp Council, you reviewed the 1957 document and it stated on this paperwork that it was a grant. You concur that it was a grant because grants don't need to be paid back. Did we make them a loan?
That's what's I mean, I have the paperwork here.
You did before that time, did you, Joe?
I did not. So it does appear that it was designated a grant.
Okay.
But the language that the board inserted into the, I assume it was the budget resolution, was Kenosha County be reimbursed for all grants, the Fair Association, if and when they dissolve and liquidate their assets effective with the grant of $8,000 as proposed in the 1958 budget.
So that's kind of a loan.
Yeah,
I mean, yes, you know, I refer to the financial.
Yeah. you gotta pay the grant back.
Yeah, if you have to pay the grant back, that's a loan. So, I mean, are we, I guess, okay legally just to say we don't want it? I mean, I'm gonna vote for it. I have no problem with it. And I'm just, again, I'm just getting into the weeds
Yeah,
here, but
but I think between the lawyers for the Fair Association and our office, we think the cleanest is to rescind these and make it clear that we're not in, we are releasing any obligation that may exist.
okay, all right. Okay,
Like at one point, the fair was saying, well, you know, so if we're gonna have language that says, you know, that, if that were to happen, we would just, you know, turn over all of our assets. And, you know, at the point that I was going to say, well, there's gotta be language that says you gotta liquidate the assets first, but what if we just?
and I don't disagree. I just want to make sure at some point that original $8,000 should be repaid or shouldn't be, or we can just say we don't need to take it back. I mean, I'm just asking a legal question. I don't want it. I don't care. I just want to make sure all the i's are dotted
Yeah,
and t's are crossed.
and what I don't recall whether I put this in here or not, but as part of this entire process, we required the Fair Association to actually amend their bylaws to reflect this information, and I think that's probably what is.
Okay,
hanging them up.
all right. I'm okay with that. All right, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for better time.
Okay, number 8, Human Resources, report on successor agreement with Kenosha County Deputy Sheriff's Union.
With a handout. Good evening, I'm Ashley Letterman, Assistant Director of Human Resources. I'm here on behalf of Director Kappa and the Sheriff's Office to present the 2026-2028 tentative agreement, which has been ratified by the Kenosha County Sheriff Association. If I may, I'd like to start out by going over a summary. On the screen, we'll have a red line version with more detail, but in front of you is a high level summary. In the first section for our grievance procedure, we added the step that if it is not settled at step one, the grievance is submitted in writing to the sheriff and will include a copy to the chief deputy. So include a copy to the chief deputy as the addition there. Under the accident and sickness pay maintenance plan, we added language to convert an existing casual day to be able to be used in 2-hour increments. And one existing casual day can be carried over into the following year. So no additional time, just converting some of those days that are existing to be used in smaller increments and to carry over. In section 13.1, the number of days immediate family defined provides for foster child and an employee's registered domestic partner pursuant to those statutes. 14.2 holidays adds 2 holidays that qualify for time and a half if worked for those who work on a 5-2, 5-3 schedule, and then double time for overtime on those on either a 5-2 or a 5-2, 5-3 schedule. The union selected Memorial Day and Labor Day as those 2 holidays. For vacations at steps, at the last 4 steps here, the 4 years, the 7-year mark, 14-year mark, and the 20-year mark, this agreement would add an additional day for those employees that are at those tiers. The selection process was completely revamped to make it more modernized and more consistent with how the actual selection process is being done today through their telestaff program. It also adds time limits for vacation picks and revises the caps for the number of staff off at a time. Also in that vacation section is the cash out and carryover of unused vacation. It provides for limited carryover of vacation for employees in their first through their 3rd year. So that was an ask of the union. So that way the employees who are newer have that ability to carry over some of their vacation if they have plans in the future. Under section 16.5, family coverage of death of an employee, this language was revised to comply with the 2019 Wisconsin Act 19, which offers coverage for surviving spouse and dependent children of law enforcement officers. Under section 18.1.2, the clothing supplement that did increase from $900 to $1,200, and that is for reimbursement of the protective vest and the carrier for the protective vest. The going rate for a vest and a carrier is about $1,200. So we needed to just increase that to more accurately reflect what the real costs are. On the back of the summary, under the overtime section, 19.2.2 provides for pay for travel time for department assigned training outside of the county. 19.2.3 offers the choice of either overtime or flex time for a department assigned training conducted outside of their regularly scheduled shift, where the deputy would still be required to work the adjacent regular shift. Section 19.7 provides for overtime when there's a 1-hour break between the regular shift and an overtime shift being picked up, if that 1-hour shift could not be adjusted to avoid the break. And then the last provision of overtime, 19.8, allows for meal reimbursement when required to travel out of the county for department related business lasting over 8 hours. Going into section 26, job classifications and compensation, we revised the language to take into account the need to prorate vacation in the first year for an employee who comes to our agency on a lateral transfer with that experience credit. So if they're being given more vacation because of their experience coming from another agency, we want to make sure that we're prorating it in that first year so they're not getting the full grant right at the start of them starting with us. And then six.
Wait, define, say that again.
Sure.
Explain that to me.
Sure. So if we hire a deputy that has experience
Mhm.
coming from another law enforcement agency, there's a provision in the contract that allows the sheriff to grant a commensurate amount of PTO, or excuse me, vacation in alignment with their experience. And so instead of giving them that, if it's, let's say, 3 weeks, 4 weeks of vacation, not giving it to them all at once in their first year, we would prorate it. So if they start in June, we're not giving them the full 3 or 4 weeks right
Okay,
in
all right.
June. Yep. Section 26.3 effective dates. That's just reflecting the new contract dates for the 3 years of January 1st, 26 through December 31st of 28. And then finally, on the screen, you can see the appendix A for the wages. So if I can point your direction to the screen, you'll see this is the outline of what this wage structure is included in this contract or tentative agreement, in blue text. So you'll notice, in the column for 2025, that's where the contract is ending here at the end of 2025. Then in January 4th, 2026, at minimum, they'd receive a 3% increase, but we did adjust a couple of those rates just to have it more competitive for our starting officers. And then just adjusting it throughout there. And then the rest of the contract is then outlined there where it's 1.5% mid-year in 26. In the second year of the contract, it's 2.25 at the beginning and then 1.75 at mid-year. And then in the third year of the contract, again at 2.25% at the beginning and 1.75% at the mid-year. That concludes my summary. I can open up for questions.
Any questions from the committee? Supervisor Noodle.
Did you go back to section 19.7? I kind of,
Yes,
I mean, I really did get it. So
Sure.
if you get a.
sure. So sometimes, so if an officer has their regular shift, they pick up overtime and it's adjacent to their shift, there's sometimes a break in between those shifts. If it can't be avoided where they, that one shift, that 1 hour can't be adjusted to avoid the break, we would bridge that 1 hour. So that way, because otherwise they're not able to go home necessarily. So we're bridging that 1 hour if it can't be adjusted.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Supervisor Kirby.
Through the chair, is there, what's the effective, rate increase? Because there's that mid-year step up. Do we have like a calculated, this is the actual percentage if you average it out over the year per year?
I follow your question.
So like if you have a credit card, right? And it says it's an 8.9% interest rate and then they up it to 12%. The actual interest rate for the year is somewhere in between.
So what's the average increase per year? Is that what you're,
Yeah. Do you have that anywhere or?
I don't have those
Oh, okay.
numbers.
I mean, I can figure it out, but
We have a spreadsheet. that
Okay.
has it.
just good to know.
Obviously, this is comparable with other areas, correct? I mean, that was part of what we
Yeah.
took into account here.
Yes.
I have no problem with any of this, but these overtime sections, what is that gonna do to our overall overtime number? Because that's one of my issues I'm trying to fix.
Yes, no, absolutely.
And I don't disagree with anything you're saying here, but what will that do to that number? Is that gonna make it go even substantially higher, or was there any analysis done on that?
Sure. So in the first one, the 19.2.2, this travel time, this would be taken into consideration with the means of travel and the type of trip. So that's really going to be controlled by the sheriff's office and their professional development budget. on what they can afford to send folks to for training. And so that would all be taken into account when the sheriff's office is considering requests for training.
That would come out of some other line item, not overtime, correct? That would come out of there.
They would be taking that into account with, I believe they would be taking that into account with their professional development budget.
Okay.
So it would potentially restrict their professional development budget, reducing the amount of training opportunities, so. In terms of 19.2.3, so this is offering the choice of either overtime or flex time. So right now it's the overtime, it would be overtime, or it's putting it in writing that that officer has the ability to choose what's going to work best for them. They might be coming off of a long stretch of working multiple shifts, multiple overtime shifts, and so perhaps they prefer to flex their time over receiving overtime pay for doing that training. And so there's a potential to reduce overtime in that section of 19.2.3.
Because it can go from overtime to flex time, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
And then in terms of 19.7, the 1 hour break. So I know supervision does a really good job of trying to adjust those overtime shifts to try to reduce that. But when they can't reduce that 1 hour, that's when.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
They can add that to overtime as far as I'm concerned. And I can get more annoyed with a higher number, but I see the need for the 1 hour break.
Yeah.
So.
And then the 19.8, that's a meal reimbursement if they are traveling out of county for over 8 hours. They are not going to have access to a refrigerator. Sometimes they're going to have inmates with them, and so they can't necessarily. Department related business, like, does that include conveyance trips? Okay, so conveyance trips, investigation trips. So if they're conveyance trips, they may have inmates with them. They can't necessarily, stop and have a meaningful break. So this is allowing for them to have that meal reimbursement over 8 hours.
Okay. Supervisor Gearston, you had your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to Ashley, will the county board be getting a resolution to approve this collective bargaining agreement?
It will be included in the budget resolution.
Okay, it'll be part of it. Thank you. And then through the chair to finance, have we incorporated these items into the budget?
We have, it is.
Okay. And then to the chair, we have some wonderful members of Kenosha's Finest here. Would you, if they wanted to make a comment, would you indulge that?
Of course. I never
Would you
don't
like
like
to
to
make
make
a
speak.
comment?
I think Ashley outlined it pretty well. Hi, I'm Nick. I apologize, I should stand up. Detective Morrow, Nick, whatever you guys want to call me, I'm our union president. I just want to say, I think Ashley did a great job of outlining this for you guys. This whole thing, we took a lot of time, a lot of effort as putting it together, speaking with other agencies, seeing what's going on with them. This is right up to par with a lot of agencies surrounding us. We have our comparables right now, but as it goes on with how everything's going, everywhere is giving you the sign-on bonuses now, this and that. We're trying to raise wages for our younger deputies first starting out. We're trying to be competitive with that, and everyone now is a competitor over a comparable, because to get the best people, you have to be the best and offer the best. So we're just trying to do our best for everybody here and everything that we can, and through the help of Ashley and everyone on the board and these people with me, and hopefully you guys, we can keep doing that and be someone that people want to go to, see as a department that they could spend their future with, because this isn't just a job, this is a profession. A lot of people use this to go very far in life. I know Detective Barnard here and I both plan on going very far in crash investigations like we have with our MCAT team and stuff like that. That's been a huge help to the community as well, helping find justice for those, and detectives in general like Quest and Dan here, who's also on our board. It's a huge opportunity for everyone to be able to get something like this and keep bringing in great new young people, and especially lateral transfers as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And that concludes my comment and question, and I yield. Thank you.
Okay. I appreciate your comments and mine will go further than this agreement. I have a concern with the overtime. And I think part of the overtime is taking care of the younger deputies that come in because you don't want to have the turnover and you don't want to have when I was chair of joint services, that was one of our things with turnover with 911. I mean, once you invest that time in them, it becomes a huge loss when that person leaves relatively early. I mean, that's almost doubling our cost by having to do it twice. So, any ideas that can help attract and retain good candidates to start out with are things that I would always approve of. So I can appreciate your comments on that. And I've tried to think outside the box and figure out how we can keep them here and not have the turnover, not have the overtime to the degree that we have it. So those are my comments on the whole thing, but I appreciate your work and your work with the county and yeah, it all sounds fine to me. Any other questions or comments from the committee? It's been moved by Supervisor Nudo to approve.
You don't need to approve. This is more informational. Yep, you'll approve
I'll
through the
take that
budget.
out.
Supervisor Nudo withdraws his motion to approve.
Do you hear that?
Yeah, I'll heard it.
All right.
Thank you.
That sounded good though.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having us. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Audit of bills. Did you guys?
I find it. I don't know.
Pass it around.
Oh, there's,
Second.
there's the break in the chain.
There's multiple factors.
Listen to him get defensive.
Taking everyone down.
Thanks.
Okay, reports from administration.
Saving the best for last. Gonna do the
Don't you
general
think
fund
so?
year-end forecast. My favorite. Everyone should have a copy of the general fund forecast in front of them. So I always start showing you the lower box there. Shows just a slight increase to what our projected deficit for 2025. Comment was made before the meeting about the percentage being below 30%. The rating agencies not only take our year-end percentage, but they also add our health insurance reserve to this. So if you add that $1 million to this, it's just short of 30% at this point. Just wanted to make that point. So starting at the top, going through the material changes from last month to this month, we had an increase in the projected human services surplus from 800,000 to 1.1 million. That's based on placement surpluses and DCFS and behavioral health services. Our sales tax revenue surplus still doing well at 875 in surplus. We've had a 12% increase year over year for sales tax through the first 6 months. And this projection is assuming 6% increase for the last 6 months. So it's conservative look at that. It could be even better. The next few are kind of just minimal changes up or down, including public works operating surplus ticked down a little bit. On the sheriff's side, there was a slight increase having to do with healthcare contract from NAFCare to the Vital Corps and overtime as it progresses through the year. And
How much of that 1.3 is overtime?
it's a good chunk of that. I would say it's at least 800,000 of that. The operating revenue side, it's a slight increase to that. We've had a little bit of improvement when it comes to fire officials. Inmates revenue. Health insurance deficit, we had a kind of a poor month when it came to claims. So I adjusted that upward a little bit. And same with our general fund and investment interest revenue, that kind of thing a little bit. So I increased that one. And our tax delinquency reserve figures just reducing or increasing the reserve amount, which then reduces our general fund. But overall, still pretty close to break even at this point, with some more months to go before we start getting this more into focus. With that, I'll take any questions.
President of
Even if it's a stupid question.
There is no.
Going back on the sales tax revenue, you say that we have been kind of averaging about 12%.
Yep, I think first 6
And
months.
you use 6% of this one. Assuming that we get to 12%, you have an idea? Dollar amount difference that would be
Then it would
just
be,
a wild
it would
guess.
be another, it's not a wild guess, it'd be another 875,000 on top of that. So it'll be 1.75,
Actually, it could be a lot better.
yes. If each month, if the next 6 months are 6% higher than the projection,
Okay.
that's what it will.
Okay.
It's a good question.
Thank you.
what number to put in the budget for next year? 4%?
No, for what?
Or 6%?
Okay.
Oh, for next year's
Yeah.
budget. You have, so if we projected above this one. We're assuming a 4% increase.
So you're taking it down from 6% to 4%?
We're assuming this towards to the end of the year and then
4% on top of that.
So wait a minute. So if we finish at 10%, it doesn't stay at 12, it comes down to 10 and then it's at 10%. You're saying another 4 on top of that and that's what you put in the budget?
We already have a number in the budget. That was assuming our projections here are correct for 2025. Wherever that puts us total, I don't remember what we budgeted, what the 875 is over that. But let's say it's 22 million. Then we did 4% over that for 26. Making that our new base and 4% on top of that base.
And historically over the last. Averaged higher than 4%, but to be conservative.
Of an increase. So you don't put a percentage number, you put a number, a dollar.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're gonna say whatever we come up with, you're gonna add 4% and that's gonna be the number.
That's what we did
That's
when
what we
we
did.
put the budget together. So the number in the budget is assuming that.
Assuming what? The 6%? Or the number that we are sitting at now?
The number we're sitting at now.
Okay, so the 12%, whatever that number has generated.
12% for the first 6 months. 6% for the next 6 months. So
Okay.
if we end up better than that, that means that our surplus
Mhm.
will already start rolling into next year.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. So it's not a percentage, it's a monetary number. All right.
To get to the monetary number, we use a percent.
Yeah.
I'll keep my shut down. Sorry. Why? That's
Gonna say,
All right, now that begs another question. You opened up Pandora's box here, so, all right, so then tell me the percentage number for next year.
We said,
I know, but you told me it all is based on the percentage, so you're saying, so it's gonna be, we started at 6, assuming it's 6, and then it ends up at 12. What number did you, what percentage number did you add 4% to?
so this 875 means we're trending higher than our budget for this year.
Got it.
Not just through now. Through now is the actual, but then we project out based on what we've been trending for the 6 months that we know. When we add our budget and we add 875 to it, we have a new base number. And that base number, we added 4% to come up with the number for 26.
Okay,
And I mean, I don't know what the budget amount was to add the 875 to tell you what that number is, but that's how that process works.
you don't figure out the percentage till later, cause you're using the numbers.
We wait, yes, we
Okay,
wait.
all right, well, that explains it. Okay,
several, I mean, a couple months of sales tax revenue doesn't tell us anything,
well, I agree.
but
I
6
agree.
months of sales tax
I agree.
revenue gives us.
And I would rather do conservative of that than
That's why we
not,
did
because you're not gonna
12%
have,
For the entire year.
you're not gonna have-
Right.
you're not gonna have human services to have that big slush fund at the end of the year. So if we were conservative on the sales tax, that'll help us if we get into a pinch at the end of the year. Okay, all right. Any other questions or comments?
Good, there are no games on tonight, so there's nothing else to do.
So you just wanna sit here?
Oh, we can ask questions.
Okay.
So is that gonna rain tomorrow or? Motion to adjourn.
It's been moved to adjourn and seconded. All those in favor?
I